So how do I know what my purpose is? This is a deep question that everyone asks at some stage. In fact, that can drive us for years trying to find that sense of purpose, meaning, fulfilment, satisfaction. So it's a critical question to ask. What is my purpose? And how I approach that, how I help people find answers to that, is by exploring who we are internally. Let me explain, let me walk you through this. So if we're looking at the external worldly reality, what I call the horizontal axis, if we're looking out there in the external, purpose, meaning comes from our more human, egoic perception of life and form and who we are in the world. And so the obvious answers to purpose might be to make money and buy a nice house and have a family, have kids, travel around the world, have wonderful holidays, have a beautiful car, have things. And that's our human perspective. You know, we land here as souls incarnating with a thud on this planet, and we grow up in a body, mind, dealing with personality, having this amazing experience in separation, separate from oneness, if you like, in this world of form. And so purpose on that level looks like things, or material expression, or family, relationships, purposeful work, service. We up level and we get into deeper meaning, and we're actually starting to get into an overlap now with the vertical dimension. So what's the vertical dimension? That's our inner life. And as we explore that, what we find is twofold. One is, as we go down into the subconscious, we will encounter any wounding, any unresolved traumatic stress, any residue of our conditioning that needs to be cleared, processed. A lot of therapy is about working through that residue. Of course, we need to do that to clear out the root system, to have a more grounded sense of presence, more space. But as we do that, it allows the tree of self, our consciousness, to expand more easily, more naturally into the superconscious, which is where we're eventually coming back into alignment with our greater self. So we're moving out of the contraction of our human, egoic, fear-based, separated mind, which is fine, we all start there, and that's purposeful to start there. We'll talk about that more at other times. But we don't want to stay stuck there because it's hell. That's hell, that's fear-based, it's awful, constricted and painful. And so often when we're looking for our purpose, we're trying to access a deeper sense of self, because that's where the meaning is going to come from. So if we remain just in that contracted small self, little self, small s self or egoic self, purpose is going to be limited. Purpose will be like, when I've paid off the house, or when I've got a good relationship, or my kids are happy, or these are great things, but there can be a limitation in that. But as we do our inner work, we might have to do some heavy lifting to get through stress and trauma, and I work with people who've gone through a lot generally. People turn up who've gone through really significant trauma, little t, big T traumas in whatever form. Could be neglect, could be abuse, could be just life throwing so many things at this amazing soul warrior. But as we work through that, it might start in that kind of inner work process, but eventually we always come back to who we are. Therapy always becomes a spiritual process eventually. And in that greater connection with who we are beyond form, beyond the little self, back in soul state, connected back with who we are beyond time and space, this is where purpose, meaning takes on a totally different dimension. We're really plugging into our soul level purposes. And this can be anything. Our purpose might be to raise happy kids, be a good parent. Our purpose might be running a milk bar and being a friendly contact point in that local community. our purpose inevitably is about service at some point. Initially, our purpose, I believe, is to remember who we are, and that once we get through the heavy lifting of healing, clearing out the traumatic rubble, our purpose is to reconnect with who we are beyond time and space. I see that as our first shared purpose. Everyone has that shared purpose. But once we've remembered who we are, we don't stop there. I mean, whatever version of enlightenment that might be, we don't stop there. That's really the start of things. So we remember who we are, we feel that access to greater strength and wisdom and love, and then purpose becomes service. Purpose becomes, okay, how do I express that through the human? As long as I'm in this body, brain, personality, how do I share this greater self in the world? And this is where it gets very cool, because everyone has a unique service. Deepak Chopra said once, he used to say to his children apparently, there's something you do better than anyone else in the world. And your job is to find what that is. And I love that as a sort of an intention of, okay, well, find out who you are. And maybe Deepak Chopra's children didn't have a lot of accumulated trauma and residue. Maybe they were parented very well, so it was a smoother journey for them to move out into service. But often it's like people digging their way out of a lot of trauma. When they get to that point, there's a depth and a richness to their expression. The greater soul warrior, working through all that rubble, often the service turns into some sort of healing, some sort of uplifting, because if you've gone through a lot of pain, a lot of stress, a lot of trauma, whatever it is, abuse, neglect, whatever, what you come out the other side with is a deep empathy that other people won't have, a deep, rich knowing, strength, resilience, wisdom, but also this rich empathy. And so service often becomes helping. Service often becomes some form of, how can I help people who've maybe been through a version of what I've been through, or how can I make the world a better place by giving love, support, whatever form. For one person, it's the music they write. For someone else, it's a book they write. For someone else, it's their work as a counsellor or a therapist, as a healer, as a kinesiologist, as a neurotrainer, as a masseur, massage therapist, or a whatever, as a bartender, as a, maybe not in a really, rough pub, but maybe not. Maybe that's part of it too. Wherever you find yourself feeling called, guided by that inner knowing. So it's coming from your greater self. It's actually coming from your core. It's coming from your soul. I like using that word, soul. And that's informing your sense of purpose. That's guiding your expression. And if you follow that, you follow the impulse, you follow the desire, you follow the intuitive knowing, it'll just take you to your unique expression, your unique purpose, your unique service in the world. And that's purposeful in terms of meaning, satisfaction. Is there any greater fulfillment in life than to serve from our unique gifts or qualities? So I hope that makes sense. I hope that gives you some fuller picture perspective on how to explore this question of, what is my purpose? And something that might help on that journey of healing, transformation, is a resource I've created. It's free. It's called the Soul Warrior Journey. It contains a written roadmap and a hypnotherapy session. And if you would like to access that, just have a look for the link there in the caption below. It's my purposeful gift to you, and I hope you find it of assistance. Okay, God bless.